Egypt, the country with two homes. Behold Africa, home of the lions and everything else that has nothing to do with Egypt. Due to this, Egypt is separated from Africa, due to the difference in biomes. Africa has rainforest and savanna. Egypt doesn't. Egypt is up at the top right corner. The common shared culture between Israel and Egypt is most likely the reason why they both share the same religions and people. Let me point out Egypt, so we can zoom in and do cool video effects. As you can see, Egypt has a 90-degree angle, but that is not important. Egypt shares borders with Libya, Sudan, Israel, and the Gaza Strip. Egypt shares its longest boundary with Sudan. This length is 1,273 kilometers. In accordance with the Anglo-Egyptian Condominium Agreement of 1899, this boundary runs westward from the Red Sea. Egypt shares all 1,150 kilometers of the western border with Libya. The border was defined in 1925 under an agreement with Italy, who had colonized Libya. Before and after World War II, the northern border was adjusted, resulting in the return of the village of Aslam to Egyptian sovereignty. Egypt also shares its 255-kilometer border on the eastern side, next to Israel, in Sinai, and the 11-kilometer border on the Gaza Strip. Egypt is not purely part of Africa. The top right portion of it actually is a little separated area that is right between the Mediterranean Sea and the Red Sea. It is also part of that area where Israel is. We call that the Middle East. Alright, right now I'm going to take the effort and time to outline the area where people live with a big red line. You will see that people live around there. Within this area is the Nile River. It actually goes past the area I've outlined, which is cool, but unimportant, because they only live in this area. This area is only part of Egypt. Everywhere else that I have not outlined is desert. There are no cities around the desert, because you cannot live in the desert. The desert has no water. Water is necessary for living. People like to live. The total area that Egypt covers is about 1,010,000 square kilometers. That would be 390 square miles. It is the 30th largest country. Over 81 million people live in Egypt. 91% of them are Egyptian. Basically every single one of them live within the 40,000 square kilometers, 15,000 square miles, around the Nile River. If you remember correctly, the total size of Egypt is 25 times that amount. That means that 99% of the people in this country are living in under 5.5% of the total land area. Random data time. Random data number 1. Snow falls only on Sinai Mountain. Number 2. Rain falls in Egypt only during the winter months, and they only get 0.1 to 0.2 inches per year. However, on the northern coast, they can get around 16 inches a year. Number 3. The river delta at the top of the Nile River up north in Egypt is the world's largest oasis. Number 4. There are thousands of plant species, tens of thousands of bug species, several mammals including endangered ones, and hundreds of marine life species, all only in Egypt. Number 5. Sand dunes in the western and eastern deserts can rise up to 100 feet. The deserts expand over 100,000 kilometers squared each. The official language in Egypt is Modern Standard Arabic. Greek, Armenian, and Italian are the top 3 languages spoken by the immigrants. Adding to that, English, French, and German are the top 3 languages taught in Egyptian schools. Egypt has 2 major religions in the country, Islam and Christianity. Only 5 to 10% of people in Egypt are Christians. Roughly 90% of all Egyptians identify themselves as Muslim, and Islam is the state religion. Nearly the entire population of Egypt fits around the small area near the Nile River. Because of this, Egypt is mostly urbanized. The majority of Egyptians are Mediterranean people with Caucasoid features, matching those of European descent. Many, if not most Egyptians have some black ancestry that often shows up slightly in their physical features. Except this guy. He's a tourist. An estimated 2.7 million Egyptians live abroad. 70% of them live in Arab countries such as Saudi Arabia and Libya, and the remaining 30% live mostly in Europe and North America, with 110,000 in the United States. Egypt has a major problem with immigration, and it always has. Refugees from other countries, mainly southern Africa, travel north into countries such as Egypt to escape poverty and war. With all the immigration, Egypt's population is growing, not declining. The 2011 average was an increase of roughly 1.9%. Egypt is the most populated country in the Middle East. Internationally, Egypt has a very strategically well-placed position on the world map, which gives it political influence over Africa and the Middle East. The Arab League, a regional organization that tethers most Middle Eastern countries together so that they can all cooperate and help each other out. Cairo, the capital, has been a crossroad of commerce and culture for centuries. It is also the permanent headquarters of the Arab League. There are a lot of people in Egypt, and 450,000 of them work in the army. Although the USA has about 3 times that amount, it is still a very impressive number and is one of the largest in the world. Egypt is a very self-sustained country. They produce natural gas, petroleum, and several types of food for export. Their main income comes from tourism and the Suez Canal. Geopolitics is a theory that describes the relation between politics and territory. Egypt is geopolitically part of Africa, but due to religion, language, ethnicity, and much more, Egypt remains as a major part of the Middle Eastern realm.